What's up everybody, Matt Van Pelt with Pelt Sports Management here. Just wanted to make a video for you guys who have recently graduated from college or who have been out a couple years and you're trying to get that first overseas job. This video is well overdue. I know I had a lot of you guys asking me for advice on that, and hopefully I'm going to give you a few pointers that can help point you in the right direction. Because I know it can be quite overwhelming to figure out how to find a team, let alone move your life from one country and take it to another country you've never been before and start over. So my first point is that you need quality film, as much film as possible. I have guys asking me for jobs and they have no film, so quite frankly that's almost impossible, because how can a coach see you if you have nothing to show them? You need to have as much good quality film as possible. You need to have full game films, because some coaches will ask for that, some will not. So you also need to have highlight films from as high as level of play that you've played in as possible, whether it's your college film, any tournaments you've played in, anything that is good quality film, not blurry, doesn't have profanity laced music in it, isn't a ton of free throws. It should show live game action. And it doesn't need to have a 1 to 2 minute intro of you. It doesn't need a ton of replays. As many plays as possible in a short amount of time as possible. Getting right to it, because a lot of coaches, GMs, scouts, they'll see the first 15 to 30 seconds of your film and they'll know if you're the type of player they're looking for or not. At least from a negative standpoint. If they see that you're not the type of player, they don't have to watch more than 30 seconds. So don't give a long introduction, just give good quality film of live game action. Next would be, you need a resume, a basketball profile essentially. Every place you've played, whether it's your college, any junior colleges you went to, any tournaments you might have played to, any tours you might have played in, all that needs to be on your resume. You can have a list of your accolades, your stats, any positive stats. If you shot 20% from the three-point line, just don't put that in there. Anything that looks positive needs to be in your resume. Any accolades you might have. You can include your height and weight, a synopsis of your style of play. So not a synopsis from you yourself. You should get a reference from a past coach you've had. They can kind of get a little summary of your play, and you can put that in a paragraph form in your resume. You should have your contact information, your name, height, date, weight, all that, your nationality, and it should list the places you've played. It should have links to your film, your game films, and your highlight films, as well as all your positive stats. That should be in a Word or a PDF format. I would also recommend making a Eurobasket profile on Eurobasket.com. That's kind of the hub of all things international basketball. By having a Eurobasket profile, by no means does that certify you with a job, but it kind of certifies you as, okay, he's in this business. I see that he is a player who's trying to play professionally. It makes sense if he has a page on there, because a lot of coaches, when they look up a player, they go right to that website, see if you have a profile. So it kind of just certifies you as a professional basketball player, but by no means does it guarantee you a job. But you can also put all your stats in the past places you've played on there, so that's helpful. It's kind of the hub of all things basketball, really, in the international industry. Next is agents. I personally recommend working with as many agents as you possibly can without signing with one. If you're fresh out of college, signing with one can be very beneficial, because they can get you that one job to kind of help get you started. But if you're already established in the pro industry, then I'd try to work with as many as you can, because a lot of agents will let you work with them and they only have to sign with you if they get you a job, so you don't have to pay them anything beforehand. With Van Pelt Sports Management, we don't charge anybody anything beforehand. We only charge if we get you a job. And also, do not lock yourself into a 2-year deal with a contract if you're a rookie, because a lot of agents will kind of hustle you into knowing if you're a good player, they'll be locked in with you. You can't sign with any other agents, because some agents have exclusive contracts. They won't let you sign with anybody else except for them. So if you're signing a contract like that, you want to keep it short to 6 months max. So as soon as you get your first deal, then you can kind of work with anybody from there and get out of that deal. So try to avoid long-term contracts if you can, because you always have the option, if you are a good player, you always have the option of extending those contracts if you and your agent are working out well together. My next point would be to hop on Google and network. The internet, social media, Google, all these websites are how you make your money in the professional basketball industry. So I've played in 12 countries professionally. If I count various coaching jobs, I've been to 15 countries professionally, and the majority of those have just been from sending my stuff to teams or to academies or to clubs that I found just doing research on Google. What I type in on Google is professional basketball leagues around the world. I go country by country, league by league, team by team, pick places I want to play, and then I send my stuff out to those places. I'll send them a professionally written email, and with my links to my film, with my resume, with my game film, with references as well, and I'll send that to teams stating my intentions. Don't just send your film with no words. That's a big no-no in this industry. State your intentions right away. So say, this is what I'm looking for, interested to see if you might have any interest in a player such as myself, and then you just send that out to teams. You find their emails on the internet. And social media is also huge. You can find teams' Facebook pages, some have Twitter pages, some have Instagram pages. You can send them messages via that. LinkedIn is a great place to connect with coaches, agents, scouts, team managers, other players even, to ask them for advice or to ask them for connections. Social media, as annoying as it can sometimes be to have to post on social media, or to try to not be narcissistic and be like, hey, this is my profile, it's also important that you kind of promote your brand via social media to show that you're still in the basketball game. Otherwise people they might not know who you are, they might not see you, unless you're a major Division I college basketball player. Then it's quite easy to get jobs. You might not need social media. But if you're a small college guy or you're fresh out of college, especially if you're a JUCO guy, you need to professionally promote yourself or have somebody promote you via social media, because that's a huge platform. I run a sports management company, VPSM, and all of my work is through social media. That's how I find players to connect them with teams. That's how I found coaches to connect them with teams. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Those are the 4 I use. There might be more I'm forgetting, but it's very important. And just sending out emails on Google is also very important. When I first got started, I used to just grind, sending out emails, maybe 6-7 hours a day, just sending out emails, sending my stuff, trying to get that job. Once you get that first job, that second job, then it becomes a lot easier. Then word of mouth, teams have seen you play, you can get in front of teams, you can get in front of scouts, GMs, coaches, and then you can kind of go from there. But the first couple jobs are the hardest. So you might have to grind, searching the internet, just to get those first couple jobs. Another thing you can invest in is exposure camps and tours abroad. Now, this is a tough one because there's a lot of exposure camps that are just money grabs. I've been to one myself. Some will say you got to pay $150 to $200 to come play, and they don't actually have a real opportunity, which is tough to say because some do. Some have real opportunities, and you might have to pay. There's been NBA players who started by paying $150 to go try out with a G League team. There's been a number of those guys, and some of them have real opportunities. I've ran a couple exposure camps myself, and I've got jobs from those exposure camps for players. Because what I do, because I've been to 15 countries, a lot of times I'll send guys to teams I've already played with, and I keep those connections, or just countries I've played in, or I've met other teams, coaches, and all that, as well as other places. But so I'll run exposure camps from time to time, and it's tricky to know which ones you can trust, which you can't. But if you have nothing on your resume coming out of college, all you have is high school basketball and college basketball, then I recommend that, even not for just getting a job, but an exposure camp is just something you can throw on your resume and something you can get film from. So you can show yourself of playing against other maybe overseas players or other high talented players that are trying to get overseas. Show that film. If you don't have film also, you can add it to your resume. You can keep your stats from that. You can also put your film on it, on your resume from that. But also be honest with your stats. A lot of teams will fact check your stats, so don't lie about that, because that's how you lose jobs quickly, if teams found out that you're lying and that your resume is bogus. So be honest with your resume, with your stats. Doing tours overseas is something that you can do. This is also a wise thing to do if you have nothing on your resume yet, just to get a feel for the life in a different country, get a feel for basketball in a foreign area that you might want to play in, as well as just get something positive on your resume to help build and also give you film. But I've actually ran a few tours myself, and I've brought teams to play against university teams overseas, to play against college teams, to play against high school teams, play against pro teams, and I've had teams play against national teams. So there's really levels for professional basketball players all the way down. But I've also done them from the player standpoint. I went on a couple tours in Europe and Italy and Switzerland, and I loved it. You have to pay a bit of money, but for me it was worth it, because at the time I didn't have much on my resume. That helped me get started. That helped me get some film, and yeah, it was worth it. So that's another thing you can consider doing, are exposure camps and tours. But again, try to figure out, do some background checking and do some research on the person who's leading the tour. Make sure they're trustworthy and not just trying to take your money. Make sure it's a real legit opportunity, and make sure you can at least get film or stats or something positive from it other than just the traveling and cultural experience. My next point would be work on your game, the obvious point. Everybody is working out a couple hours a day. Every college basketball player, every pro basketball player, every wannabe pro basketball player, they're all working out a couple hours a day. So what are you doing to separate yourself? Especially if you're a small guard or if you're from a small college. If I'm being honest with you, you should be working out 6, 7, 8 hours a day. Make your day surrounded by working out, if that's your passion, if you want to do things professionally with the game of basketball. Just work, get after it, make sure you're a killer on the court, because if you don't have game, it's quite simple, you're not going to be able to play professional basketball. But if you do have game and you're professional in your behavior, there's definitely opportunities to make it happen. Anything is possible. And my last point, if you're a person of faith, would be to say your prayers. My story, how I got started, was kind of crazy. My faith is very important to me. I used to pray all the time growing up as a kid that I could play professional basketball in Australia. And I remember a month before I graduated college, I get a call from an agent I had never heard of before. And he just messaged me and said, "Hey, I got a job for you playing professional basketball in Australia." And to me, it just felt like prayers were answered. I know the good Lord can open up a lot of doors, and in my opinion, a little hard work, a little networking, staying professional, team with some prayers, that's a good combination, that's a good start, and hopefully that can get you the life you want playing overseas. And hopefully you can take a few things from this video, apply it to your lives, and get that job you wanted. So good luck, everybody. Hope you learned something from this.